Welcome to Fireside Chat. My name is Sai. I created this FIRE roadmap last year, and this has helped me tremendously over the years on my FIRE journey. You can download this guide for free by visiting firesidechat.com/contact. You can use this guide when you're trying to figure out the first step of the FIRE checklist, which is to calculate your FIRE number. To achieve financial independence, you need 25 times the annual expenses. You might find something else similar on the internet, but this is the one that I created for us to follow. This FIRE roadmap shows 10 levels of financial freedom. For example, our financial freedom number is $2.8 million, with $2.5 million invested and $300,000 cash set aside in case of a bear market, like right now. It's better for us psychologically to have smaller financial goals before we reach the ultimate fat FIRE number. This roadmap also applies to people who are trying to achieve lean FIRE or traditional FIRE. Level 1 is to have our car insurance and medical deductibles saved in our emergency fund. In our case, it was about $2,000. To most people, it's anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500. But it depends on the number of people you have in your household. In any case, you can set your first goal here, whether it's $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. Level 2 is to have a fully funded emergency fund, and my rule of thumb is to have 3 months of essential expenses saved if you have a dual income household, and that means if you and your spouse both have different sources of income, or have 6 months of essential expenses saved if you're the sole provider in your household. Keep in mind that I said essential expenses, so that should be the 5 following categories: household, utilities, groceries, transportation, and insurances. You should not include anything discretionary in this level. For example, my monthly essential expenses total at $4,000. So in order for me to have a fully funded emergency fund, I'll need to have $24,000 set aside. This is just to achieve level 2 of my financial freedom before moving on to level 3. We don't adjust our emergency fund again until we reach level 10 of financial freedom, which I will cover later on in this video. Level 3 is to have 1 month of FIRE expenses saved, and this does not include the emergency fund you set aside in levels 1 and 2. This is actually harder than level 2 because I had to figure out my baseline household expenses and my desired expenses like travel and entertainment. So for example, we're working on Fat FIRE, and our monthly Fat FIRE expenses will be $8,333.33 a month because that's how much we want to have in our early retirement. It's not based on what we spend now, but what we will spend when we reach FIRE. So for us to achieve this level, it's $8,333.33. However, if you're looking to keep your expenses low, you can use the baseline expenses from the level 2 emergency fund, and you should also keep in mind that this can be a combination of your retirement and non-retirement accounts. We have lean FIRE, traditional FIRE, and fat FIRE. Lean FIRE is generally under $3,500 a month in expenses. Traditional FIRE is between $3,500 and $7,500 in monthly expenses. And fat FIRE is greater than $7,500 or $8,000 a month in expenses. Level 4 is when you save 3 months of FIRE expenses. As I explained earlier, in level 3, you'll multiply your monthly expenses, and we'll say it's $5,000 by 3 months, and that gives you $15,000. My fat FIRE expenses are still at $8,333.33. I'm going to multiply that by 3 months, so I would need $25,000 saved and invested for me to achieve level 4 of our financial freedom, which covers 3 months of expenses. Level 5 is having 6 months of expenses saved, and for us that's $50,000. Level 6 is 1 year of expenses, and that's $100,000. Level 7 is 5 years, and that's $500,000. Level 8 is 10 years, and that's $1 million. Level 9 is 25 years of expenses saved. This is when we achieve financial independence, assuming we use the 4% withdrawal rate. Say your expenses are still $5,000, you multiply that by 25, and that gives you $1.5 million. For our Fat FIRE expenses, we multiply $8,333.33 by 25, and that gives us $2.5 million. When we achieve this level, then we can start planning for early retirement. We may be financially independent, but we don't feel comfortable retiring until we reach level 10. And level 10 is when we can retire at any time with at least 25 years of expenses invested and 3 years of emergency funds set aside in cash. So in our case, it would be $2.5 million invested and $300,000 saved in the emergency fund. You may be wondering why $300,000, and let me show you why. $300,000 would cover 3 years of our expenses if the market experiences a downturn, like the Nasdaq right now in the bear market. Looking at the S&P 500 historical chart, the longest bear market lasted about 18 to 20 months. During the dot-com bubble, the bear market started in August 2001 until it bottomed in February 2003. During the Great Recession, the bear market started in October 2007 until it bottomed in March 2009. So if we retire right now during the year 2022, we would stop withdrawing from our stock market investment because it is down almost 12% year to date, which is in the correction territory. Obviously, we don't want to sell when the market is low, right? So we want to use the $300,000 we set aside, which puts us roughly at 90 to 10 allocation to buy the dip of the market and use the cash to pay for our baseline expenses. This is our investment strategy, so it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone else. And we also plan to have other sources of income. We plan to diversify our investment with real estate properties because the cash flow from our properties won't necessarily stop because the stock market is on the downturn. If our rental properties generate $2,000 or $3,000 a month in cash flow, then we won't need to withdraw as much from our stock market investment. We'll also have our business income and pensions that will help pay for our expenses. We're also looking to have our primary home and rental properties paid off, completely paid off in our 50s to keep our expenses low and cash flow high. We want to reduce our risk as much as possible before we go into our early retirement. So if you Google financial freedom or financial independence, you'll often find the 5 stages of financial freedom, and I'm going to briefly go over them. Your financial independence isn't just a single milestone. You're transitioning from working for money to money working for you. I am right in between where I'm still working for money, but my investment portfolio is also working for me at the same time. So stage 1 is dependence. We were all born into the stage being dependent on our parents or caretakers to provide financial support to our everyday expenses. You're probably in college paying tuition on your own, you took out a student loan, or you're relying on someone else like your parents to pay for your tuition expenses. You're working a 9-to-5 job to pay for your mortgage, utilities, transportation, and groceries. So in this stage, you're relying on your active income or debt to pay for your personal expenses, and you don't have full control of your life. Stage 2 is solvency. This is where your expenses are lower than your earnings. You don't need to rely on anyone else to help pay for your expenses. You're out of debt, but you still need your active income to pay for your expenses. But you have full control of making financial decisions. So essentially, you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck, and you have achieved step 4 of our fire checklist. And stage 3 is stability. This is when you achieve step 5 of our fire checklist by being debt free and saving 3 to 6 months of your expenses into an emergency fund. This stage gives you the stability to start investing into your future. You have the excess income to not only invest for your retirement, but you also enjoy your life a little bit by traveling or doing something else that you enjoy doing. This is steps 6 and 7 of our fire checklist by maxing out the Roth IRA, HSA, and employee retirement. Stage 4 is independence. This is where you make enough income to support your lifestyle without being dependent on anything else. The most important part of being financially independent is that your investment is making enough for you to replace your active income like your 9-to-5 job. You have the freedom to upgrade your home, buy a new car, or travel to wherever you want with the earnings or dividends you get from your investment. We would still have extra money that we can put towards more investment or bigger opportunities. This is when my wife and I achieve our financial independence and we can choose to retire whenever we want. And this is our steps 8, 9, and maybe even 10 of our fire checklist. Stage 5 is abundance. This is when you have more investment income than you need to maintain your chosen lifestyle. There's more financial freedom than freedom. This is the steps 9 and 10 of our fire checklist, and this is the stage when we can pay off our mortgage at any time with the investment we have. This is also when we want to focus on creating our generational wealth so we can distribute our wealth when we pass away. We want to focus on giving back to the community. So your net worth may be $10,000, $25,000, or $100,000 right now, and that $2 million or $3 million can look so far away. I don't want you to feel like you have to get to $1 million in a year or 5 years. Use our fire checklist, and it's completely free to use, and follow the stages of financial freedom to go one step at a time. If you need help with your personal finances, you can always schedule and contact us for a free financial coaching session by visiting firesidechat.com/coaching. So with that said, I appreciate you watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.